Welcome to the ultimate guide on how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. First thing you need to do to make a grilled cheese sandwich, you need to get the parts to make a grilled cheese sandwich. First part, obviously, you need the pan and the roof for the pan. Next part you're gonna need, obviously, some fine bread and 2 pieces of fake cheese. Some pre-shredded or just like a block cheese. You're also going to need a spatula to do some flipping, a knife to do some butter, and some butter to do some butter. And then obviously the one crucial step, can't forget the stove. The first step to making a grilled cheese, you gotta open up the butter and get a little bit of butter and then start buttering away on your bread. You need a good cover of butter, right? So you're just gonna wanna butter that right up and make it look real pretty. So I might have lied a little bit when I said pretty, but as long as you got a good, somewhat even spread of butter that you can visibly see, you should be all right. So the next step to making a grilled cheese sandwich, you gotta flip over and open up some of that cheese. You see, when you open up cheese, you might get a visitor. Very critical step. Take a little bit of cheese, give it to the dog. Basically, just kind of lay the cheese. You know, I like to lay it all on one piece of bread, so you can tell that you're getting a good coverage of the bread and that there's no pieces when you eat the grilled cheese sandwich that's just going to be bread. So you can actually kind of take out some cheese that's hanging off and put it where there's no cheese. That's a good idea. You're just going to take it and just make sure that there's nowhere where the cheese is hanging loose or where it's not hanging out at all. Now you just want to grab some cheese and just kind of lay it out. Lay it out on your sandwich. Because, you know, you don't really want too much of that fake cheese. Just have one piece of bread covered with that real cheese. And then another piece of bread covered with some of that fake cheese. So you get a good spread. This seems like about enough to me. And obviously, what step would be complete without feeding the dog a little bit of it? We have the right ham now. So, I like to only use really one slice of ham on the grilled cheese sandwich. Just kind of plop her down. Alright, now that you got this concoction, you're just going to want to, obviously, take her and just kind of close the sandwich. Now that part, okay, next step, when we operate in the heat machine. Now this part's a little dangerous, as always, but you're just going to want to place it neatly on the burner. I like to use the largest burner because, quite frankly, it's the only one that works on this stove. And now, on a good stove, you might want to have it on a little bit less than medium, but on this stove, we like to have it at 7 because this stove kind of sucks. You're going to want to put a little bit of butter in the actual pan. And now the butter that you just put on is going to start to melt. So you can just kind of, you want a good, as always, with everything on here, just key is a nice even spread. Just kind of push that around with the spatula. The butter has melted. That means that it is time to place the sandwich. All that matters is that we're making a sandwich. I'm going to place that on there. We're getting cheese everywhere because I'm doing this with one hand. Just going to place that on there, and this is where the magic happens. Place that on there and just give it a minute and then we'll check back. By the cheese melting on the bottom, that it's cooking. Once you see it fit, and this is very subjective rather, you should flip over the sandwich to make sure that it's evenly heated on both sides. I should have a stock footage of a man flipping a grilled cheese. And then just kind of keep flipping it. Some people only like to flip it one time. I don't think it makes any difference, personally. If you flip it once or flip it twice. So just flip it again and see how brown it is. So I flipped the sandwich again. It's not very brown, so we're gonna have to flip it over again, obviously, but you know, with time, we'll get it to the perfect amount. And as you can see, it is cooking. It's looking real nice on the top. This is after I flipped it, of course. The top will not look like that if you don't flip it. Unfortunately, but this is pretty much what you want. But as it stands, this is going to be pretty good and it's going to be pretty tasty. About this color, oh, it's nice and hard to touch too on both sides. And here's the other side. That looks pretty good to me. So we're just going to obviously want to do what we've done before. This is impossible to do with one hand, by the way. Just take it and move it on your plate. Make sure you turn off the oven and move the pan over to the one that's not on. Just don't touch that. Very dangerous. Just kind of, I'd say this is a rather important step. Just make it nice and even with both the breads on the same side. You don't want to be eating just bread, like I said. Nice And the only proper way to cut a grilled cheese sandwich, diagonally. Cut it in half. Just nice and straight down the diagonal middle. And you can even see the cheese that's melted. You just rip it apart. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Nice and melted cheese. And obviously the last step, enjoy your newly made grilled cheese sandwich. Thanks for watching.